need to talk about something that is really relevant right now.
Okay.
What is a buy down?
Okay. So there's two kinds of buy downs.
Okay.
There's a temporary buy down and a permanent buy down. Recently, you've been seeing all over the place the temporary buy down. We typically call it a 2-1 buy down. What that means is that it's temporary at a lower rate. And then there's a permanent buy down that we've always really had, but when rates were 2.5%, we didn't need. Okay.
No one cared about those.
Exactly. But now that rates are higher, people are looking to perhaps buy their rate down. So the major difference between the two is, like I said, one is permanent and one is temporary. The permanent one, let's say, for example, you have $10,000, okay? You could buy the rate down permanently, let's say a point. And as you know, buy downs fluctuate on a daily basis with the rates. So let's just use an example. You know, it's $10,000. It goes from 6% down to 5%. You have 5% for the life of the loan, 30 years, great, okay? The seller can contribute towards that permanent buy down. You, as the buyer, can contribute towards the permanent buy down. Permanent is whatever you want to do. A temporary buy down, number one, the buyer cannot contribute a cent towards it. So 100% of that has to be paid for by the seller.
Which means that you have to be in a position where you're either able to offer under asking price because you need the seller concession,
Correct.
or you need to offset it sometimes in price.
Correct. And that the seller has to agree to that full amount. You know, there's not a partial.
Yeah.
It's the full amount. So let's use $10,000 again. And let's say today's rate is 6.5%. Okay. And so you're doing a 2-1 buy down. That means in year one, you pay 10 grand and you get 4.5%. Year two, it's 5.5%. Year three forward, it's 6.5%. Okay.
Sounds like pieces of an arm, but it's not an arm.
It's not an arm because it's after year two, you know, starting in year three, you're not going to have an adjustable rate.
Thankfully.
So it's almost adjustable on the front end and not on the back end. So it's much more safe than an arm. But really what I always do is just compare that with people. Like, look, you know, you're gambling. Here's what the buy down is doing. On the permanent buy down, you're not gambling anything. No. On a temporary, you're gambling that you're hoping that the rate is going to drop so that you can refinance in year one and or year two.
Before anything gets worse.
Exactly. Because in year 2 and 3, your rate is typically higher than what you would have actually gotten. So the only advantage is that year one, the reason people are doing it is they're thinking rates are going to come down.
Tricky.
Yes.